Chris, how are you? Like I said, what a way to spend the day doing podcasting. I'm looking forward to some of the other live streams. I'm thinking and ideas and some new announcements. I didn't know, Chris, you know this. This year is definitely I've reached 15 years in
Is it
podcasting.
15? Wow,
Yeah,
congrats.
and I've done over about 15,000 plus shows. So it's been such a great journey, but it's just the beginning, in my opinion, and something that's so amazing, which is the power of having your own media company. Let's go, Chris, with our guest today.
Yes, absolutely. So I have the pleasure of introducing Paul Eckert, who is a wonderful interior designer, has been doing this for close to over 10 plus years, right, Paul? And I now is growing his business and really helping commercial and residential Airbnb owners really
Ooh.
take over their designs and really make a profit off of their homes. So I figured this would be great for our real estate entrepreneur sort of base that really wants to think about how to maximize those spaces. And yeah, and of course, if you're a home fanatic like my mom, HGTV, you probably want to hear from him too.
Well, I want to hear from him because I'm always looking at cool things to decorate. So thanks, Paul, for welcoming the show. And Chris, what is your first question for Paul?
Absolutely. So yeah, Paul, I've had the pleasure of working with you and getting to know you. But why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are to the audience? Just tell us a little bit about Paul Matthew and how you got started with your interior design business.
Awesome. Yeah. So I would say I've been an artist my entire life. And as I've grown older, I've used different outlets to work with that creative, desire to express that. And I've learned that with humans spending, most of the majority of their life indoors, creating spaces really is the best way that I've learned to help impact other people. So that, like you said, strides from residential homes or people, call them call their homes and how they express themselves and their family, all the way to their businesses, projects, like you said, whether it's residential or an Airbnb, helping people create that vision that, not everybody, they might have the words, they might have the ideas, but they might not be able to make it happen. So that's where it all started, and that's why I do what I do. And I guess what I really pride myself off of as a designer is helping to create that custom and unique aesthetic that represents the individual client. You know,
Yeah. So yeah, from what I've known and working with you, you've had very much a streamlined process. Tell us a little bit about kind of your design philosophy and how you sort of approach making these happy spaces, if you will.
yeah. I mean, when I going back to studying design and where it all started, I would really say that the basis of all my designs stem from the kind of how the human works itself. What creates comfort? What creates community? What creates excitement? Energizes a space. All those things kind of stem back to nature and kind of human nature in general. So studying design, I was very interested in a lot of historical designs or historical studies on designs, going back to those principles I talked about. And so essentially, when I meet with a client or a group of clients, I'm looking to find out what's the vision they have, but then going back to the mechanics of, okay, so they want a community space that's going to naturally drive people to collaborate, or maybe a family room that's going to make people want to spend time together, create conversation, maybe a dining room or a cafe that's going to make people feel like, oh, this makes me feel comfortable, relaxed. I might want to read a book. Each space, the actual space speaks for itself. Each element in there is going to have an element that either sparks energy or comfort or some sort of energy that then reflects onto the individual themselves. And that's what excites me about design. It's not just the pretty textures, it's not just the cool colors. Each one of those has a scientific and almost the energetic feel to it that then
Right.
reflects onto us as individuals. And that's what
You,
I love about it.
absolutely. Let's look at the look and feel, the look and feel of a home, right? You have a home that's completely empty. It could be any size home because I am a connoisseur of going to Airbnbs. Okay, I've done a lot of them worldwide. And what I've learned in this process is it can look like the outside of the house looks not the best, but when you get the look and feel in a house, you could transform any house into a beautiful home inside through the look and feel, kind of making it feel so home. I think that things have changed so much that a house has to be a museum, but it makes you feel better.
Mhm.
It helps because I guess COVID was when this really push came, right?
Yeah, I would say that people really became more aware about their at-home spaces. We can become so dependent on, going places and finding those comfortable spaces and then kind of leaving ours as this is just where I sleep or whatever. But yeah, definitely bringing that into your home is a huge impact. And it can be as simple as, it could be any space, whether it's a historical home, a brand new build, small condo, huge house. If you add elements that oh, there's plenty of different seating options. The lighting is good. We have different textures that, for example, if you have a really rundown kind of old property with flaky walls and you want to make it into a low cost Airbnb that feels more high end, add elements that have reflectivity on it. Add something
Mm.
that has some clean line work, some minimal line work. That's going to contrast with all of the, flaking wallpaper or things that are old and deteriorating. You add those clean, streamlined, modern aesthetics, and then the two of them are going to create its own aesthetic that when people walk in, they're like, wow, this house has character and it's minimal and modern. Like it's really fun how you can take any space, mix it with what you're desiring it to feel like, and the two kind of mesh together. Obviously, there's a science of how to do that without it clashing. However, you can essentially do that with any space.
Mm. No, that's those are incredible insights, and I love how you're such a subject matter expert with this, right? Like, I don't think I've ever ran into any interior designer that really has gone into the science of the design and why they really go into it, really as in depth as you are. But what I was curious about, mostly just thinking about the business perspective, how important is it for having a dedicated design space for my either retail space or maybe my business office? Can you just speak about kind of that commercial experience and how maybe other customers have interacted with places depending on how it's built?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, your question was a little confusing. So are you talking about how important is like a retail commercial space for clients and how that impacted their businesses? Or are you talking about my own?
Oh yeah, the first question. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's what I was thinking. Well, I will say for sure, most of the commercial clients I've worked with, they really have just been in their head thinking of this idea and not sure how to make it happen. One of my favorite commercial clients, well, I have two different stories, but I will say my most recent one, I guess I'll talk about. It's actually a dance studio, Arthur Murray, if you guys have heard of it. It's a nation,
Mhm. Yeah.
worldwide company. But I've actually helped them multiple of their Chicago area studios. And my favorite thing is how it affected their business and how they run their business. So, for example, we might have had a space that felt like it was, outdated before we started the design process that had uh, it's funny how just something that feels like it's from 40, 50 years ago kind of
Yeah.
automatically, without addressing anything to bring it to the present moment, kind of makes the energy for all the clients and the staff themselves kind of no longer have the same interest. So working in those spaces, once you bring them to a present relevant design that's going to energize the space. It also energizes the staff. They all rework how they talk with their clients, how they run their business, because they realize, just as you as a business coach might understand, you have to continuously rework the process to essentially keep up with changing demands, changing
Yeah.
things that people are interested in. That's the same thing with your commercial space. If you are keeping it for nostalgia, you still have to do things to keep it relevant, you know? And this current project of mine, complete 360, we brought it to a very relevant status. They not only have added staff members and completely reworked their business plan, but they, without even doing any additional marketing, just by people driving past and looking through the windows, they already are adding like clientele up the wazoo that they have no idea where they're coming from. And, you know, imagine once they get those images up and their new company branding. This was a failing dance studio that now is automatically bringing people in because the space is electric. Everyone who walks in wants to
Yeah.
spend time there. They want to, you know, the design is based off of the vision of what we want, or what the owner wants the you know, students of that studio to experience. People now have a vision of, this is who I want to be. This is where I want to spend my time. This is where I want to spend my money. It becomes part of who they are, not just a space where they're like, I like what I'm learning, but I'm creating this life vision that doesn't really excite me that much. You know, you want to get it, make it exciting. You want to electrify it because that's, you know, where all the energy is at, and where the energy flows, you know, everything grows.
Yeah. And when you don't have good energy, give you an example. Now I have windows in my office. The last office I had in my house, no windows.
Mhm.
And there was no sun in Pittsburgh. I'm in Mentor, Ohio. We have more sunny days. So I have the sun right now here and here, and and my fiance has plants in here, and I feel more alive than I felt in that dark, nice game room, but no not getting to see the sunlight, not getting to see anything that kind of changes you. So you're right, the mood of a place. Like once we go from an empty place to putting a, you know, a nice TV, a very nice couch, it becomes a home, it becomes welcoming. And I think businesses as well need to have a welcoming place when they walk in. I always tell, when I was telling clients about, you know, hey, if they had a brick and mortar, you got to make that brick and mortar different than your competitors. So it's not walking into a doctor's office. It doesn't feel like it's walking into a doctor's office. It doesn't feel like you're walking into a building that has no character to it. Because a building with character, different things, just it really makes it different. It makes it more welcoming, right?
Yeah, exactly. What as a creative individual, there's so many other creative individuals that I, you know, get inspired by. One of the quotes from Shakespeare is that really I think about often is, the world is our stage and we are the actors upon it.
Yep.
So I really think about that in every design. You know, if you just go to a black box theater, okay, you're gonna have to get really great actors to get people excited about that show with no background or stage or setup of any sort. That's the same way with a business or with a home. You know, if you're really looking for a business to have a certain energy, to sell people on a certain idea or lifestyle, or if you have a family home where you want your family to, you know, come together, or you want to host dinner parties, or whatever your goal is for whatever interior you're working with, you really have to express that in the space itself, because that will be the automatic seller before a word comes out of your mouth, you know. Or it's going to automatically, like I said before, bring people together. Like you said, in your office, the plants, the sunshine, it
Yeah, we
automatically
weren't there yet. We
stimulates
just moved
us
in a
as a
month
human.
ago. I need to bring you on board, but we're not there yet. But it feels much more, I feel more alive. And it's spring. That's the other thing
That's
about
another
spring is
piece.
sprung, you know?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Another study I did was just with the basics of lighting. So it's cool how, like you're saying, I feel more alive. And it's actually a real thing. There's a study I did on lighting where I forgot the exact name of it, but essentially it goes back thousands of years on how creating artificial lighting whether that's candlelit lighting of the past or now our electric lighting, how the lighting affects us as human beings. So a lot of people know if you walk through a shaded forest, it's going to automatically help take your stress away. It's going to help take your anxiety away. That is something that is wired into us as human beings. That's why, it kind of comes natural when you kind of disconnect from the world and walk through that forest. Well, if you create a lighting plan inside that creates different types of shadows, it's actually going to, or shaded light, for example. I love chandeliers that create kind of shadows rather than just a flat fluorescent,
Right.
blanketing of light. That's going to actually mimic walking through a forest in your home.
Interesting.
So when you walk into an interior with, different types of lighting, whether that's a light in the corner, a light up at the top that has different, ways that reflects on the wall, it not only looks cool, it actually is changing your brain psychology. It's
Really?
calming you down. It's re-stimulating in an artificial man-built way, the same way nature affects your brain. And that is proven. And that's the magic of actually changing your space. It changes your body's physicality, your brain psychology, your chemistry in there changes from your built environment.
I love it. And like I have a cube light, a pretty big cube light in my office for lighting, and it really helps, even though I have natural lighting coming in right now. And I can just look around and I see the backyard and I see the trees and I see, wow, at least I don't feel like I'm cooped up. But I guess that's the whole thing. Putting the right
Yeah.
lights into a room changes a room.
Exactly.
Sometimes too much light is not a good thing either, isn't it? Right? And I'll let you go
No,
after
I,
this.
Right.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
my brain has started to work in a funny way the longer I do this. Whenever I look at a space, I now first tie it to a natural built environment that it's similar to. So when I'm in a blanketed fluorescent space, I'm imagining there's a bunch of people under the equator on a beach under blaring sun, and you need something to get out of that direct
Mm.
light because or else
Mhm.
you're blanketed and you're drying out. You need some water, you need something to rehydrate, or you're going crazy with that blanket of light. If I'm walking to a living room that has all types of different fluffy seating and a big sofa that's wrapped around the center place, I'm actually imagining a clearing in the forest. And there's literally like stones around a fire pit and everybody is gathered around it. And how are we creating the different levels of the canopy in the forest with, different layers of the design? How are we going to create that natural I know this is very abstract, but that's literally how my brain works. Different layers of the canopy, the different ways the forest floor creates, like, we as humans in human nature, we have to find a gathering place in whatever our environment is. Now we get to build it in the modern day world, but we still have those same mechanics that give us comfort. It's part of our DNA. And that's really how I look at every space now. It's like, where am I getting sunshine? Where's the water? Where's the replenishment? Where's the comfort? Where's the places I can conveniently do something of work? You need different heights to do different things of work. That's why, designing a kitchen is different than designing a bathroom, than designing a living room, than designing a commercial space, because you have to think of the function and formerly follows the function. And then you have
Right.
to think of those, mechanics of the human.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like
Yeah.
this
This
is like
is
design gold right here. Like
yeah.
I'm loving every bit of this. Because I'm a big kitchen nightmares guy. So I love watching Gordon Ramsay completely renovate these businesses
Yeah.
inside and out. And
Bar
they do it in
Rescue's another
record time.
one. Bar Rescue's another one that
Oh
did
yeah,
that.
Bar Rescue's
And
another good one. Yeah.
Restaurant Impossible. I've had Robert Irvine on my show, and we went and worked out together when he was in Pittsburgh. And so basically, yeah, that's the thing. And it's all about the first vision for a business. So you could
Right.
niche Paul and say, I'm only going to focus on interior design for businesses. And it would literally be a game changer for you because they need it. But I think you do multiple things. But Chris, I think you always ask for key insights because we are coming close to running out of time.
Right. Yeah. Really, I just wanted to get a real quick insight into you know, you have so many great pieces of wisdom. What's the process for working with you? How do people start working with you? Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once we get connected, whether that be through, some source that they have found or a referral, the first thing I need to do with that person is connect with them, whether that's over a Zoom call, but the majority of time we're face to face connecting because, like I said, the custom aesthetic is catered to the individual. Even though there's these basics that really connect us all, what declares if we're going to have a colorful aesthetic or this aesthetic, it's really connecting on that person by talking with them. I start to learn, I start to create kind of a mental map of these are the things that excite them. They're very down to earth, or they're very modern, or they're very this, just based off of the things that excite them, through the natural conversation that normally takes 15 to 30 minutes of connecting. And then after connecting and getting to know kind of the things that they're excited about, what their goals are, then I'm going to walk through the space with them. And then we can start to, really imagine, like by walking through the space, from that point on, we start the design process of, creating the 3D walkthroughs of that space, finding the exact products that's going to help bring that idea, that energy, the ultimate goal of what we're working towards. Then we're going to bring it all together, whether there's construction involved or we're just bringing in furnishings and decorative
Yeah.
paint and whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, we are able to create it after that point. We just have to bring everything together.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and it's truly a tailored experience. So we appreciate you sharing that your process there. Um, any other last questions, Neil, that you
No,
wanted to?
I just love this. I think that this is what he needs to have his own show. He needs to be able to bring a different perspective in some sort of niche way, producing a television show for him that he goes and shows the process
Oh,
of
that would be
doing the inner
killer,
treatment
wouldn't
and
it?
design. That goes my hat, and why you can check me out on IMBD Pro as Neil Haley, as well as the media giants involved in lots of hands in the cookie jar. But the bottom line is that you are very exciting. You definitely need to be on HGTV,
It's
but
definitely.
create your own thing first, get all your followers, and then go to HGTV, go to all those different places. Think about, oh my gosh, you know who I'm talking about, have created their own brand from HGTV, the couple.
Um,
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
yeah.
They did it, and
Joanna
they
Gaines.
yes, they're out in the Waco, Texas area. But what they were able to do is what a power of a brand is. You can't overnight become Joanna Gaines and Chip and Joanna Gaines. You can't overnight become Robert Irvine, but you can have that plan and these steps to go to that. That's the mistake entrepreneurs make, Chris and Paul, is they think they can get there today. No, it's a journey. My 15-year journey to where I am now, I'm not satisfied where I'm at, but I've accomplished so much. That is more of a journey than overnight success. All right, Paul, best place we can connect with you. Where can we go?
You can find me at Paul Matthew Designs LLC on Instagram or paulmatthewdesign.com. Those are the two best ways to reach me. And there's a ton of information on there. So I would definitely recommend one of those two.
All right. That was a special simulcast. And we go to, okay, first of all, Chris, go to uxbright.com, check you out, and savantrapreneur.com. Explain and spell that for people what you mean. That's the thing with the Savantra. Yeah.
Entrepreneur essentially is entrepreneur, just replace the en with savant, the ent.
Okay. All right. We'll have to talk about that more in some visuals. Maybe that should be on your new thumbnail when we see
Probably
it,
not a bad idea.
all the different things. It's all about the visual. Appreciate it. Thank you, Paul.